All right. Hello, YouTube. Welcome to a work in progress because this is what it is. This is definitely a work in progress. This is a work in progress stream. So, how is everybody doing tonight? I am, of course, Nash Thunderclap, and welcome to again the second. Sorry, I'm trying to get everything lined up here. I'm trying to get everything lined up. See if not going. I think. Nope, it is not. And I've already got Stalking in the chat saying he's ready and show us the way, Mr. Nash. I mean, I'll do the best I can. But yeah, welcome to the stream. Welcome to the second stream on this new YouTube channel. And tonight, we're going to talk about Oblivion Remastered. We're also going to be talking about Star Wars Celebration. With Oblivion, we're going to watch the announcement trailer. We're going to check out a review on YouTube. And then, as far as Star Wars Celebration, we're going to go over what's been announced and maybe look at an interview or two. Um, so, yes. And again, this is a work in progress. And I've kind of already messed around with some stuff with OBS to kind of give it more of a different look. You'll notice it here and there, and but like I said, this is still a work in progress. Name for this live stream, a work in progress, because it is constantly a work in progress. But before we get started and everything, I will go ahead and throw the socials at you real quick, the plugs. Don't forget to follow me on Kick. Don't forget to follow me on Twitch. I'm sorry, don't forget to follow me on Kick. Subscribe to me on Twitch. You can follow me on all the socials, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, also known as X, where you get all my updates. Everything's Nash Thunderclap. While you are here on YouTube, don't forget to like this stream. Subscribe if you can. It'll help me with this crazy algorithm. And don't forget my gaming channel, where I post up all my streams from Kick and Twitch. It's at Nash Thunderclap. All right. Well, let's do a little opener real quick to get started before we get into all of the topics. Um, Today for me was just a pretty it was a pretty normal off day for me. You know, went out, spent an exorbitant an insane amount of money on groceries, but most of the stuff was stuff I was out of that I normally buy. I buy big boxes of, so that way it lasts me a while. And I had to buy some stuff for my car. That's going to lead into me going to do the adult thing on Thursday to go have my car serviced. Not get in line for a Switch 2 pre-order, which is this Thursday. Not going to do it. Not going to do it. I've decided I am going to bide my time and see where it goes with the Switch 2. I don't feel like trying to fight in line or anything like that. And I have a really good hunch, a good feeling, something in the gut that probably after the first month you'll be able to walk in somewhere and be able to pick it up off the shelf. I think that the initial, it's going to fly off the shelf the official first month. But I think once that first month is gone, I think the stock levels are going to be good enough to where you could actually walk in and buy one. But I've got more adult things that I need to do. And that is more important to me than go getting a Switch, standing in line for a Switch 2 pre-order. Also, I've talked about this on my other streams before as well. But, you know, why not bring it up here? So I ordered a OLED Switch replacement screen because I thought I cracked the screen on it and didn't think that I had a screen protector, which I thought I had a screen protector, didn't have a screen protector. Well, I was missing one important piece on the replacement process, which was some adhesive tape, so the screen could stick to the housing. And I got the tape today, and I picked up the Switch, and I thought, you know what? Excuse me. Let me just mess around with this glass a little bit. Something tells me something's not right about this because this doesn't feel right. And I peeled the screen, and it turns out I did have a screen protector on it. It was a damn good screen protector. I mean, it's stuck on there. As soon as I peeled it off, it started cracking all over the place. And coming from somebody that used to sell cell phones, I am a master of placing glass screen protectors and removing glass screen protectors without cracking. But I removed this. The original screen was in perfect condition, not a mark on it. So this is a life lesson for everybody out there. When you have to do something that's got to be repaired, do your due diligence and inspect it carefully and make sure that you already took the steps to protect it before you go and buy unnecessary things for it to do it yourself or take it somewhere to have it repaired, because you're going to end up wasting your money. Luckily, I was able to get a return on this, so it's heading back to Amazon as we speak, because I didn't really do anything other than open the box that it came in. And I went ahead and ordered me some screen protectors, some nice $6 Amazon glass screen protectors that will even come with a little bracket so I can line it up properly. If you can get a screen protector for your phone or whatever device that you use that has a screen on it, try to get something that's got a bracket on it that lines those things up perfectly, because they are a lifesaver. Oh, and other bit of advice: make sure whenever you put the screen on, just give yourself kind of a brushing once over everywhere. Just kind of like brush yourself, wherever you can, because I have put on screen protectors and I thought I have cleared it from dust and debris, and it turns out I will get a speck of dust or something on there, or a piece of skin or something, once I put it on there, and it came from me, even after I did my due diligence in getting it completely cleaned off. That's the only advice I can give you. So now that I feel a little bit better about my Switch OLED being fine, I don't see any reason to get a Switch 2. Not right now, at least. My back catalog on Switch games is ridiculous. So I have more than enough content in a cabinet over here to keep this Switch going for at least for a little while. All right, that's enough of that. So let's go ahead and get into the topic. So first things first, let's go ahead and we're going to go ahead and watch the announcement trailer for Elder Scrolls Oblivion Remastered. And this is going to be a 20-minute video. We're just going to react to this, and then we'll move on to there. So pretty much the majority of the stream, we're going to be watching videos. So here we go. Already, right there, Bethesda did not work on this. Virtuos worked on this. Of course, because they're too busy doing updates and DLC for Starfield that nobody's going to play, and they're working on the next Elder Scrolls.
The others, they were taken to the tower. They're behind us. This ends here.
A little bit.
You hold our future in your hands. Take with you my blessings and the hope of the Empire.
I mean, it's classy when you got Patrick Stewart in the game.
Find him and close shut the jaws of Oblivion.
Here we are 20 years later. When you think about the Elder Scrolls, to us it goes beyond game franchise.
Yeah, it's the DNA of Bethesda Game Studios.
Obviously, we're working on the 6th chapter here, but what's great about the Elder Scrolls is...
Yeah, because when you think of Bethesda, you know, you automatically, you're going to think Elder Scrolls and Fallout, but remember, they did not create Fallout. Interplay created Fallout. They just got it and then ended up turning it into a game based around the engine they used for Elder Scrolls.
being able to look back at all of the chapters, Skyrim, Oblivion, Morrowind, Daggerfall, Arena, and each of them try to define role-playing games and open-world games for their generation.
Fans got so connected with the worlds we've made and these stories we're telling, and it's really amazing.
Oblivion was a real defining moment in the series and for how we make games as a studio.
Yeah, and it was a big deal because I remember when it came out, this is when I was first working at GameStop. This game, Oblivion, was a big deal because it was exclusive. It was a console exclusive on the 360. It was a big deal. We sold a lot of that game because at the time people were starving for games for the 360 because the 360 had just come out and we were waiting for the release of the PS3 and the Wii.
I think when it comes to a remaster, we want people to feel the way they did then, but it's still a game of its time. You want to keep those bones in place. You want some of that old charm.
Coming back to Oblivion now with this tremendous visual update is absolutely amazing. It's the world I remember, but better.
There's so much there, both for the Elder Scrolls world and also this evolution of our games, I think is really, really important for people to take a look back at.
Looking back and seeing everything we've accomplished in the past 20 years and working with these people, like, it's really special.
Yeah, there are still quite a few people that I've worked with for that long, and it sort of gave me the warm fuzzies.
Oh my God, it's been 20 years? I think the thing that gets me the most is the music. Like, when you hear that music at the main menu, there's just like... there's this, like, flood of nostalgia.
Oblivion is the beginning of who I am. As an individual, as a game developer, it all starts with it.
I don't even think it took me till release to realize how big this was.
People loved it. Like, they loved it.
Such a key moment in our history of making games and the evolution of how we build these worlds, and having players be able to come back and experience that is really amazing. We had that really special moment of coming out into the world for the first time, what that meant to them.
Yeah, you know what makes this game really special too? They didn't constantly re-release it like they did with Skyrim. Once they got to Skyrim, they put Skyrim on every friggin' conceivable thing that you can imagine. I think at some point you could probably play Skyrim on Samsung refrigerators.
This game.
Every time we think about Oblivion,
Skyrim has become the Doom of the modern era as far as what in the hell could you what can Skyrim run on? I mean, shit, I've seen somebody run Doom on a damn calculator.
and it's, what if we could give that moment to everybody again?
I was born 87 years ago. For 65 years, I've ruled as Tamriel's emperor. But for all these years, I've never been the ruler of my own dreams. I have seen the gates of Oblivion, beyond which no waking eye may see.
It looks nice. I mean, it definitely looks nice.
Whether you're reliving these moments or experiencing them for the first time, the world of Oblivion Remastered immediately looks and feels incredible. When we decided to remaster Oblivion, we were really picky about finding the right partner. From the very beginning of this project, we had one rule. We weren't going to do this if we weren't going to be able to do it right. Our partners at Virtuous went above and beyond to bring our vision to life. The care and love they've poured into the Oblivion Remaster has been absolutely breathtaking.
Welcome to Paris, and welcome to Virtuous. Our team here has been hard at work delivering the best remastered Oblivion experience possible. We've worked with Bethesda Game Studios on other projects in the past, so we know what makes that team and their games special.
We wanted to make the remaster more friendly to gamers with modern hardware. This is Oblivion in its most complete form.
About time someone got here.
Yeah, time to go to Mordor and fight a lizard.
Those familiar with only some Elder Scrolls lore will now be able to experience the events that set the stage for Skyrim. You embark on an epic journey to stop the Mythic Dawn cult.
The time of cleansing draws nigh.
From unleashing the Daedric Prince of Destruction.
What was the Oblivion Crisis? What happened to the previous Emperor of Cyrodiil? Why are there only 8 divines instead of 9? In addition to the core game, the remaster contains all add-ons, including story expansions, Shivering Isles, and Knights of the Nine, so you get the full experience.
On a personal level, it was really important to me to ensure that we're preserving the magic of the original experience. At the end of the day, we're all fans too.
This is a dream project for me.
There's one thing, and I have not watched this at all. This is my first time watching this. I'm waiting for the one phrase to come out. You know what that phrase is. I'm waiting for it to come out. I'm waiting for it to be said. And like I said, that could go either way depending on what they're going to do with it. But I'm starting to notice some things right now with the developers on there that I don't think we're going to be hearing the phrase. I was almost scared when he said modern hardware. But I think this is going to be heading in the right direction. I think just based off this so far, it could be something that you wouldn't have to worry about. But I've already heard something already, but it's not really a big deal. But I'll get in that in a little bit.
Right, I'm a fan. I have been always a fan.
Well, I played Oblivion for perhaps 10,000 hours.
Oblivion was my first Elder Scrolls game, and it was one of the games that made me want to be a game developer.
The best way to describe it would be to call it a love letter.
You will find your own path, but there will be blood and death before the end.
Already with the physics on there, definitely different.
The technology we used to create the original was cutting edge at the time, but tools have come a long way since then.
The original Oblivion is still the heart and soul of the remaster, but we use Unreal Engine 5 to help achieve all our visual goals.
So Unreal Engine 5, so they're using Unreal Engine 5 on this, and I think it's layered on top of Bethesda's in-house engine, because this is what I'm thinking. because we all know Bethesda games come out buggy as hell with that engine they use, and they have used this same engine for over 20 years. Starfield uses that engine. The last Fallouts have used that engine. Skyrim has used that engine. I wouldn't be surprised if Indiana Jones used that engine, but I think because Machine Games worked on it, it used a different engine. I think they did Unreal 5 on that, but I'm not entirely sure. Microsoft probably went to them and said, "Hey, you guys need to start using a new engine. You got to start using Unreal 5." And they probably said no. And then Starfield came out, and it was what it was. And they're like, "Hey, you're gonna have to use something different for Elder Scrolls 6." And they're probably giving them a lot of pushback, and they said, "Okay, fine." And I'm pretty sure it wasn't Bethesda that got this other studio to do the remaster. I bet you Microsoft stepped in and wanted them to use it because they were going to use Unreal 5 on it. And I would not be surprised if Microsoft has something with them. If this game blows it out of the water, that's proof that you need to use a different game engine. But I'm sure it's the old engine with Unreal on top. That's what I'm thinking. And we will kind of have to see. But Elder Scrolls 6 is so far into development, but we don't know how far into development that game is. For all we know, they probably have barely scratched the surface. We don't even know if they're even close to announcing that we got an idea of when it's going to be launched. I think they were thinking 26. I would not be surprised if it's 27 or 28. Because there's probably another reason why they're releasing this. Because the Elder Scrolls 6 is probably so far out, they wanted something in the in-between, and Starfield was supposed to be it. Starfield didn't do it, so we got this. Not that I'm complaining.
Think of the Oblivion game engine as the brain and Unreal 5 as the body. The brain drives all the
So I was right.
word logic and gameplay, and the body brings to life the experience that players have loved for almost 20 years.
But it's not just about pure fidelity. We knew we had to preserve the distinct style, making it as uniquely Oblivion as possible.
The brush opens a portal into the painting. You're stuck here like I am.
Here's a wonderful place. Good for a visit. Or eternity.
We've leveraged nearly every major feature from the latest version of Unreal 5.
Our goal was to push the visuals to the next level using the latest technologies. We created brand new, highly detailed character models and stunning landscapes that use millions of polygons in each asset, allowing us a truly impressive level of detail in the world. Every single asset in this game was completely redesigned and handcrafted from scratch.
We implemented an advanced real-time lighting system that accurately simulates how light interacts with the environment. This results in more realistic lighting and atmospheric effects. While the original game had limited dynamic shadows, now the entire world reacts naturally to light.
Now that's pretty impressive.
We used an incredible new lip sync technology that really enhanced performance in our characters.
He left us a warning. Heed it!
And real tools helped us create the base mesh of our
but there was
characters.
a charm with that old engine and
our
the way
artists
the
scoped each race individually to adapt it to the mesh,
the
allowing us to share
lip
the
sync
model,
work.
rig, and textures. As a result, all races, including Argonians, Orcs, and Khajiits, are built on the same base mesh, making the lip sync system more effective even when the characters have very different facial features.
Welcome to the guild.
We have access to so many modern rendering features. You'll see them in something as simple as running through a forest. Insects flying around, fish swimming in the water, light filtering through the leaves. Thanks to these technological advances, you feel even more immersed in this living, breathing world. You'll really believe you're in Cyrodiil.
I believe you can handle a more complicated assignment. I would like you to retrieve a carved panel from the central chamber of the High Thane.
Oh, Skelly Mans.
It's not just visuals that we've modernized in the remaster. It's gameplay.
Whoa. That was
It's
a
UI
nice
and
transition.
UX. It's audio. We've updated features and systems across the board.
We've changed the approach to leveling, which I think will make a lot of people happy. It's inspired by the leveling systems of both Oblivion and Skyrim, so it's the best of both worlds. We were able to fully recreate the character models, creating a physicality that feels more human. You see that in places like combat animations, where there's a lot more separation between the upper and lower body, and all the animations have more flourish. Combat in the original Oblivion didn't have sound effects, visual effects, or hit reactions. Now you'll get blood splatters, sparks, and controller feedback. We know it's a little thing, but little things add up to make the combat more modern and engaging.
There's a proper third-person perspective now. The original had third-person, but there was no crosshair, and we felt the experience could be modernized.
Oh, okay.
One of our goals was to have a third-person view that compared to Starfield in terms of playability. Now, the third-person perspective has all the same control you get from the first-person view.
You have my ear, citizen.
When Oblivion first launched,
Greetings. How goes it? How are you?
disk storage limits meant we couldn't have unique voiceovers for all the races. So we've gone back and recorded new lines of dialogue. Each race represented in the game now sounds unique.
Can't stand the sight of those creatures.
We also made sure to keep in all of the quirkier dialogue.
I really like the way they say hello. Sometimes it's so random, and then they just, hi there.
Hi there.
But it's like so nice and creepy.
Yeah, that's a all right. That's a good indication right there. We kept the quirky dialogue. My chat is not updating. There we go. Words to live by, Mr. Nash. Thank you, Stalking. Sorry, my chat was not updating on the teleprompter here.
At the same time.
Stop! You violated the law.
Stop! You violated the law.
Oh, there's a song with the "Stop! You violated the law." Oh man, I love that song. I gotta find
criminal scum.
Stop right there, criminal scum.
Cheese for everyone.
Cheese for everyone! We are going to steal one of the Elder Scrolls from the Imperial Palace. You need to find the reading room. The blind priests will deliver a scroll to you there. Do not speak to the priests. They're blindfolded. I've chosen you because you are the best. Good luck.
Dude, they're blindfolded. You can sneak by them really quickly.
Stop! You violated the law. Your stolen goods are now forfeited. Then pay with your blood.
That's a
As
good
games have
strategy.
developed over the past 20 years, players have come to expect a certain suite of tools and controls.
Like sprinting. Sprinting is an interesting one because it was such a big debate internally among our teams. Some of us were absolute purists, but ultimately, we decided it's 2025 and people are going to want to sprint. In fact, all of the character locomotion has been completely redone from scratch, and that has a huge impact from the very beginning of the game.
Every single updated or new feature was implemented with the player in mind. It all comes down to what makes Oblivion, Oblivion. What are those features that just immediately come to mind for players when they think of the game?
The mini-games are the mini-games. Those are so iconic to Oblivion.
Great! How's it go again?
Like lockpicking. You can put a fresh coat of paint on it, but you can't change it too much because it's part of the core experience.
Whether you're returning to Cyrodiil or you're a newcomer,
I'm going to follow you and watch you and worship the ground you walk on.
you will instantly feel at home. It just feels better. We've modernized a lot, but it's still the same incredible adventure and the same carefully handcrafted world.
Well, it's about time. Do you know how long we've been waiting?
Oblivion is a core part of the story of Bethesda Game Studios.
Oh, God,
None of
no.
what we're surrounded by right now would
I
be
see they're
here
stalking you.
if we hadn't made that game and if it hadn't been the success that it was. The effort that we put into it, the sort of the love that went into it, I think that comes across on the screen.
To have worked
thing.
on something that people care enough where you're in a position where you can remaster it, it's a privilege.
And now, to help introduce this game to a new generation of players, I feel so lucky.
I really think that people, when they jump back into the remaster, they're going to be shocked at just how good the game looks. The Oblivion gates look absolutely incredible, and I think they're just going to find themselves lost in the world.
Even if it's just the music, for example, just walking around for half an hour in the world, you feel something, and that's precious.
You're going back to a world that you've been to before, but it's better somehow. Like, it's an intangible thing, but it's like, it's new, it's fun, like it's exciting again.
I don't think I've ever seen a horse lick their hoof in that way before.
But it's ultimately the same game. There was a lot of respect for what was before, and I think the fans will appreciate that.
From all of us at Bethesda Game Studios
and Virtuous,
we want to thank you for joining us today. Oblivion has a very special place in my heart, and being able to work on this remaster and bring it to a new generation of players has been an incredible experience. We were too excited to get it in your hands and didn't want to just show it off to you and then make you have to wait. The best part of my job is that I get to be the one to announce that the Oblivion remaster will be available today.
Which we already knew months ago that this was probably going to be out soon. Like, the rumors going around that they could shadow drop it at any time. And just today, and I knew they were going to drop it today. I just knew that they were going to drop it today because the rumor was they were going to drop it Monday. But they had to do their little official reveal, and then they were going to drop it today. I've already got it downloaded on the living room system. I just need to download it in here. But we'll talk about that later.
I was born 87 years ago. But for all these years, I've never been the ruler of my own dreams. This is the 27th of last seed. The year of Akatosh 433. These are the closing days of the Third Era. And the final hours of my life. I have seen the gates of Oblivion, beyond which no waking eye may see. This is only the beginning. Worse is yet to come. Looks clear.
A trap! The time of cleansing draws nigh.
Who now will save us from the coming darkness?
I guess that would be me, the player.
Here you must find your own path.
Remember the Emperor!
Find him. And close shut the jaws of Oblivion.
Yay? This would have had a little bit more punch if I did this earlier. All right, wait. That was, hold on. All right, so that's a deluxe edition. What came with that? Includes Shivering Isles and Knights of the Nine, which I think comes with the regular edition. Digital deluxe content. So we got armor, we got weapons, Armor of the Order, Armor of the Cataclysms, Weapons of the Order, Weapons of the Cataclysm, Order and Cataclysm, Horse Armor. That was a big deal. That was a big deal on the original version of the game, was Horse Armor. That was a big deal. DLC for that. That was a big deal. And plus, I think at the time it was I think it glitched the game and screwed up your game saves. I can't remember. I'm not entirely sure if that was the case. But yeah, that was the announcement trailer for Oblivion. And people got excited for it. So how excited did they get for it? So, well, let's look at some Steam charts. So this is not in real time. This was 2 hours ago. Did Oblivion Remastered just did the impossible. So this is from Smash JT. And right there, based off of that, we are looking at an all-time peak of 170,000 people playing the game. And the question is it consistent? But we can look at the article real quick. The Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion Remastered launch is not just a secret everyone expected, but beyond a basic success. It's a full-blown phenomenon. Within 5 hours of release, the game, via SteamDB, has already rocketed past 163,000 concurrent players on Steam. Keep in mind, that is Steam, not console. Providing that a well-made product always sells well, even with it having the day one access on Xbox Game Pass. All this flies directly in the face of that tired narrative that defenders of slop say that Game Pass kills PC game sales. So in that presentation, there were two things that stuck out to me. One, on the studio that was developing the remaster, I did not see one. It was mostly dudes. Some of them look a little sickly, like they get to get a hamburger or two. I saw one woman, and she looked normal. I did not see a blue hair or a multicolored hair person in anywhere in that presentation other at the Bethesda side. And I can already tell she was just pretty much there. She probably worked on the original game, and then she probably, by my opinion, probably went a little cuckoo crazy. That would usually explain the hair. I also did not hear the word, "We remade this game for a modern audience." You want to kill your game right there? You say, "We made it for a modern audience." Again, the modern audience that they want do not play these games. But if you have people that are passionate, if you have people that are fans, they will treat it right. When you throw somebody in there that has no investment into the history of a franchise, in the history of the IP, and they just want to throw their shit in to get themselves over, the result, what you get at the end, speaks volumes. You get a lot of crap. And JT continues here. If anything, this situation here proves to everyone that when you give gamers a reason to support your game, they will show up, and in full force. A lovingly rebuilt classic like this one, yeah, wow. That sure is a buying proposition that a lot of people can get behind. But, and there's always a but, and I don't have a problem with this, but You know, in this case, it's something that you can just kind of forgive about. With that said, not everything in Oblivion Remaster has been met with open arms by the community at large. Bethesda's decision to use Type A and Type B in the character creator instead of the traditional male and female labels has sparked some serious backlash. And honestly, rightly so. I'm so tired of this stupid ideology pushing from woke developers. This is a clear case of ideology bleeding into game design where it doesn't belong. Nobody, and I mean nobody, actually plays these games was asking for this change. It's not inclusive, it's condescending. It directly undermines immersion and alienates players that simply want clarity and normalcy in their experience. This hill is the one I will die on because this nonsense needs to stop. As stupid as it may sound, these stupid little changes are what roll downhill and create an avalanche of ideology. So I can kind of the type 1 and type B body type things, which are clearly male, female. And hey, why is it that females got to be type 2? Why can't they be type 1? You know, aren't women all powerful and mighty and strong? Don't they deserve to be the type 1? A number 1, King of New York? Oh my God, somebody made Tingle. I mean, and it's just some things, but Virtuous. I mean, they made some really good. I mean, I can kind of tell. You can kind of tell who had impact into what. Virtuous seems like that they were really big fans of this and they wanted to keep everything the same. But of course, Bethesda's going to Bethesda and do their own Western game studio stuff. Like, we got to at least do a little bit of the ideology stuff. So they did all that in there. I personally think if it's not something that's insanely overtaking the game, little bits here and there, you could just kind of forgive that. Like for example, the Dragon Quest game, the 2D, the 2D remake, which I forget which it was, Dragon Quest 3, I think. I can't remember. But they did the type 1, type B, but then when you go into the game, they specifically say, hey, this particular armor set, you can only do it as a female. So it's clearly the developers, the old developers on the game didn't agree with it either. You're catering to people that are not going to play these type of games. Who gives a fuck if it says male or female? The people that you're trying to open these games up to are not going to play it. But, this is actually, let me give you a second and actually go wide here. I'm going to see what the current Steam DB is. Let's see what the current Steam DB is. Oblivion. Oh, wow. Okay, let's hop over here. So this is the in real time as of right now. Look at that. All-time peak, 183,000 concurrent players on Steam. 24 peak, as of right now, 173,000. It is staying very consistent right now. Very consistent because, as Smash JT said in his article, you give the people what they want. You don't fuck around with perfection. And it's going to stay consistent. This is to the point to where I want to play this. I do want to play it. I got it downloaded. I definitely want to play this. I want to play this as fast as possible. To give me something by, because I've been actually itching to play Oblivion. I was going to play vanilla Oblivion, but I'm definitely going to give this a shot and see how this is. All right, so I said we're going to take a look at a review. So let's look at a 10-minute review. No spoilers from Glitch Unlimited. I have not seen this, so let's see what a YouTube reviewer has to say about it.
Told me that Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion was getting a remastered, I'd have called you crazy. Yet the game has just launched and it's a massive 120 gigabyte download. Today I'll show you a comparison between the original.
Yeah, that was a it went from 6 gigs to 120.
And the remastered version, discuss the combat briefly, and share my spoiler-free overall thoughts. So years ago, back in 2006, the graphics were considered top-notch, right? But as time went on, things started to evolve further, and it's just incredible to see where we are now with gaming. With that said, we're first going to look at the graphics and main menu. Then we'll talk about the movement, combat, performance, and so much more. Let's start off with the menu. It's well done, and it's not similar in terms of the way you would see the logo expand outwards, but the music is still there, that very iconic music that you listen to it, and it just brings back a flood of memories.
Oh yeah, it was very important. We had to see the end user agreement.
Memories and nostalgia. I think that's what matters the most. It's not really the logo expanding that matters at all. I think just hearing the music and then seeing the logos is just good on its own, honestly. Anyways, we're going to check out the intro now and see the main differences between the original and the remastered. We can see the Emperor in the previous version, and now with the updated graphics, the Emperor has wrinkles, the eye reflection stands out, and the clothing no longer looks flat. The original voice is still there, and speaking of voices, which we'll get into later on, the devs mentioned they redid some voices with the same voice actors using all the original lines, so they really knocked it out of the park here. Next, let's talk about customization and races. The previous version can be seen here, and when we look at these new textures, it's just amazing. You can see night and day differences. I'll show a preview of what they used to look like and what they look like now in game. I just love how well done the textures are, whether it's the Dark Elf, High Elf, or any of these races, really. They're all handcrafted beautifully, and it just makes you feel kind of strange, right? I brought up how the graphics back in 2006 were top-notch, and now seeing these new graphics side by side is just an eye-opener to just how far we've all come when it comes down to gaming. It's just amazing. Oh, and that's right. When it comes down to customizing, you can also see the differences here between the graphics and everything else and the choices. You do
they almost look like they were standing in front of a fisheye lens.
You have a little bit more options here in terms of like changing the gradients and doing certain things with the hair color.
Oh shit! I already see an eye set right there.
Sure, you could change.
Oh, turn those red, man! I have gambit eyes.
Change the colors and whatnot in the previous one, but this one gives you more options like I've just said, and I think that also makes a big difference when it comes down to customizing, and I really appreciate that one as well. Continuing along now, we're going to check out the jail cell right here. We can tell a big difference here in the beginning. The shadows pop, the floors and the walls of the cell are incredibly well done, and the NPCs look phenomenal. You've got the skeleton parts on the floor just like the original. The lighting stands up from the window, and overall throughout the entire game, you'll see how amazing the lighting appears. I honestly appreciate the love that went into creating this first section, and the developers didn't miss when designing the jail. In fact, soon enough, you'll see how much thought went into the rest of the areas from here on out. If you have played the original, then you should recall the sewers, the secret path to which the Emperor travels down to. This whole entire area is very dark and gloomier than the previous version.
When I originally played this game, I went through the sewers, and once I got outside, and keep in mind, when I played this, I had just really started getting back into video gaming because working at GameStop did that. Actually, a buddy of mine bugged the hell out of me to buy a 360, and I had just gotten laid off at Suncoast Motion Picture Company because they went out of business. And I was kind of in between jobs at the time, and I had gotten a severance package. But there was a lot of things that was happening all at once. And I had to get a new car. And I had to I think I got the new car. I think I was still working there when I got the new car. Well, anyway, I was in between jobs, and the Xbox 360s were hard to find, and I ended up. He talked me. He was so desperate for me to get an Xbox 360 that he went to Target, and somebody had returned one. They didn't do anything with it. They had just returned it, and they had buyer's remorse. And he was standing right there when the guy returned it, and he said, "Hey, I got a buddy that will buy that today. If it's nothing's wrong with it, he will buy that today if you just hold on to it, and not throw it defective or whatever." And they're like, they got permission. Apparently, once the seal's been broken on it, they got to send it back. But they got a permission because the guy said it was fine. He didn't do anything. He just broke the seal. It was still all in its wrapping. And he called me, and I'm sitting here like applying for jobs. And I went all the way to the other side of town because it was that, and he wanted me to buy a copy of Battlefield. I forget which Battlefield it was, because they were selling it at the Xbox price, because what they had done was they accidentally placed the 360 version in the slot for the Xbox, and they had to sell it to me at that price. And they still didn't catch on. They had left it sitting there for weeks. But I got a job at GameStop shortly after that, and I ended up playing this. I didn't buy it because, at GameStop, if you work for them, you can check out the games. I checked out a used copy. I wasn't one of those types. I only checked out the used copies. I try not to check out the new games. And I got through the sewer, and then once I got out and like, God, this is boring. All I'm doing is wandering around. Yeah, I stopped playing it. It wasn't until I started playing Fallout and then kind of figured out that's how the games work, because I didn't have an understanding of open world games. I got in there, played Fallout 3, loved it. And then I played Skyrim, but I didn't play it until it hit the Switch. And I love that too. So I'm going to give this one another shot.
And it's all due to the
Hopefully.
updated graphics of the Unreal Engine 5. Also, the goblins are tough looking, and they have the same clothing as the original, except it's more updated, and they have more of a grimacing look. Yeah, that's a face only a goblin mother could love. Yeah, anyways, not to mention the rats are as nasty looking as ever, and the fur stands out
punch them
beautifully.
rats.
But what's not beautiful is how grotesque the zombies are. I have to say, with the updated graphics, you really get to see how putrid the zombies appear in Oblivion. They designed it so well that you look at it and you're like, yeah, that's cool, but God, it's disgusting at the same time. Overall, this
first
section is pure eye candy in my opinion, and as we go further into the game, you're going to see how apparent that is throughout. It's just eye candy everywhere. Besides the graphics right here, the lockpicking minigame hasn't been changed much besides the way it looks. You will still pick the lock like you have in the past, so that's great they didn't change that part at all. I personally like the lockpicking in Oblivion more than Skyrim. I know some may not agree with that, but hey, that's my opinion. I love how you get to see the pins and the way the tool lifts each pin up. It just has a nice sound to it instead of seeing the front portion of the lock and then spinning the joystick around like how it is in Skyrim. Nevertheless, I'm glad they stuck with
which they did in Fallout. And I find that little mini game just annoying.
The originality of it, and again, it seems like the developers put a lot of love in work into making sure this game stayed true to the original version of Oblivion. Now, moving along, we're going to skip the major parts of the beginning. Like I've said, I don't want to ruin this game for anyone who hasn't played it. So,
yeah, spoiler alert, he gets out of the sewer.
We're skipping the last part, and we're going to end up exiting the sewer, where we get to take a gander at the overall landscape of Oblivion. The lush green trees are still there. I saw some concerns about that a week ago when it was leaked that players were thinking the developers had gotten rid of it. No, they haven't. It's still there in my opinion, and it sticks out nicely. The water in the lake is visually great. You'll notice how in the original the water was flat and didn't have any oomph to it. Now it's completely different from the original, which I'm sure that's what most of you expected. The enemies in the beginning are not flat either in terms of the appearance and clothing. On top of that, the structures at the start got a little bit more of a rocky texture. It pops out well. Not to mention the sky is really awesome here. It's beautiful, it's gorgeous, and you know, even at night you get to see the planets and the way the northern lights look. It's absolutely just eye-popping, right? It's crazy to see how much work was put into this, and you can tell the developers at Virtuous really put a lot of work into it, and they didn't skip any parts. Really, they kept to the originality of it, except just upgraded the graphics. Okay, let's talk about the Imperial City. First, I'd like to start by saying that as you're watching each clip, I tried my best to show an overall comparison of the changes. However, in the previous version, I could use camera mode, but in this one, I couldn't find a command for it, so it was slightly tricky to show certain things. Nevertheless, the dragon statue now has teeth, and more details added to it. The original had no teeth and looked slightly strange, but hey, the developers did the best they could at the time. There's also the graveyard, which has a few changes you'll see here. The gravestones are a bit darker, some are lighter than the original, like the pointy gravestones. The mushrooms are still there, just like the OG, and the grass has more details with no more gravestone outlines. At least that's what I call it.
It's definitely a visual improvement over the original version of it. I kind of, the way it looks now, it kind of just, it does remind me a little of Skyrim in the way it looks. Because you could tell definitely a difference when you go from Oblivion to Skyrim.
Oh, and that's right. A few seconds ago, I mentioned the dragon statue. There's another statue you'll see here that has received some changes as well. And I think that's very important because, you know, you just want to change everything as best as possible while maintaining the originality. And they definitely nailed it here. I mean, everything looks just crazy good. Also, the city walls and floors stand out the most, along with the arena posters, wanted poster, fruits and vegetables, not to mention certain kinds of meat, which are designed wonderfully. I'd like to point out a few of those details in this room. The pumpkins have shadows in the crevices at the top, and the carrots and watermelons have detailed patterns. The rooms themselves are similar in a way, but I'll show different kinds of rooms here. And the lighting in each room is just great. I can't really find anything I dislike about the remastered version. All the things they've done, all the things the developers have done, whether big changes or small changes, are just pure eye candy all the way. And your eyes are sort of drawn to those changes. At least mine were. The biggest standouts were the characters, fruits, vegetables, walls. Practically everything I saw in game stood out, like horses, deer, and wolves. It's truly a top-notch remastered game. Alrighty, so far we've talked about graphics, customization, and the city, but what about the combat system and movement? First, when you hit an NPC, an enemy, or something, you actually see the damage and you can tell you've struck whatever you hit. Previously, when you struck a goblin or a rat, it felt like nothing was happening, but in the remastered version, you can see that you're actually hitting something and it's reacting to it, and it feels impactful. The blood on the swords is a nice touch, and the sparks when hitting a shield or an enemy really stands out. Movement, on the other hand, is a big game changer. When you move around left or right, it's a smooth transition with nothing clunky. With all that said, what about performance? I run all my games on RTX 3060 with an i7 CPU 14th gen, and it ran pretty well. I saw a comment on my Discord about some issues, but I couldn't find any performance drops or anything that would be considered bad. It might solely depend on your PC specs and what you're running. I will say I don't run games at 120 FPS. I'm perfectly fine with 60 FPS. Nothing stuttered, and the temps were fine at 68 degrees. All in all, should you buy it or pass? Well, I think if you're a big fan of the game originally and you want nostalgia to hit you hard in the gut while experiencing an upgrade experience, I'd say buy it. It's well worth it. Especially if you're new to Oblivion and have never touched the game before, you're going to love everything this remaster brings. So with that said, hope you all enjoyed the video. If you'd like to support the channel, I'd greatly appreciate it if you tap the like button, consider subscribing, and turning on notifications.
Alright, and yes, if you get a chance, go and subscribe to Glitch Unlimited. I'm gonna give him a shout out. Pretty good review, I think. Covered a lot of more of the technical side on the game. as far as like mechanics, as far as the difference between the old and the new game. But overall, pretty good review on that. And, you know, everything that's been said about it so far, from what I have seen, what little I've seen, has been overwhelmingly positive. Again, you give the people what they want and you will be successful. Even though it is an old game and it's a remaster, it's something that the fans have hold in high regard. And, you know, it's something that they were willing to come back to as long as it was done well. I mean, a good example was the Metroid Prime remaster. It came off very, very well. But I believe people are saying that there's a debate on whether it was a remaster or a remake. And that's the kind of the same thing people are saying on this. Is this actually a remaster or it's a remake? Well, considering that they used the original engine as the, I guess they said the brains of the operation, and then Unreal 5 as the body, I mean, it's a good indication right there. But he even said that, you know, he experienced very little issues on the PC version, which tells me this is not going to be a good sign for of Bethesda, especially if Microsoft, in my opinion, and it's just clearly just a speculation, are pushing them to change that 20-year-old engine. Because I think Microsoft wants to get it to the point to where they want very little overhaul once a game is released, or as little over patches. They don't want them spending their entire times trying to release something and, you know, are constantly spending the lifetime of the game fixing issues, constantly fixing issues. Now, something I am actually curious about. Let's see. I'm going to go back. We're going to go wide here. I'm actually curious if they are selling this physically. Physical copy. Let's see. Are they going to be selling this physically? Let's see. Let's take a look at the website. I have really got to get my Stream Deck to work on this. This is bugging the hell out of me. Again, this stream is a work in progress. Let's see. By now, digital game base. So far, this is digital only, but it is on Xbox, which is no surprise, Windows, Steam, PS5. I wonder if this is going to go to the Switch too. Microsoft's really big on let's go to Insider Gaming and see what they say. Does it have a physical edition? Can you buy a physical copy? Let's see. Can you buy it? Does it? Oblivion Remaster does not have a physical edition right now. It's a digital only. Will it get a physical release? Bethesda has not given any indication that a physical game or physical release is in the works. There wasn't a hit of a physical launch. Doesn't mean that they won't release one. At best, and this is speculation, somebody like Limited Run may pick up and do a physical copy of that. I hope to God it is not Limited Run. I do not like Limited Run games. Only because of what they did to an employee of theirs years ago, because she liked certain tweets. And I have heard the way they do their business on certain games. I'm not really a fan, but I would not mind a physical copy of this. But I do have a physical copy of Vanilla, so I could, I'll be okay with that. All right. So that is everything we needed to know about the Oblivion remaster. Are you going to play it? How are you going to play it? I know a lot of people will probably go PC because they want to mod the hell out of this. I will probably play it on Game Pass through console. No, actually, that's how I'm going to play this through console. Because I am not good when it comes to the modding stuff. If you've seen my Fallout London gameplay, I had nothing but issues with trying to play that game on PC, and I'm not really good at getting the calibrations right for PC. That too is a work in progress. All right, so we've talked about Oblivion. So let's go to the next topic, which was, and I didn't have it on the right screen, Star Wars Celebration in Japan. So we just had Star Wars Celebration, and it went just as a breeze. It just whoosh. Like, nobody really talked about it. There was really no excitement as far as I could see on this. Star Wars is just a thing. It's just there. It's not really anything to get excited about. It, in my opinion, and in my case, Star Wars has been just something you look in the rearview mirror and then you just keep going. There is just nothing that is absolutely exciting about Star Wars anymore. Disney has gone in and they corporatized this thing to high heaven. And it's not like it was 10, 15 years ago where if there was an announcement, it was a big deal, something to get excited about. It's just, hey, when they announced The Force Awakens, there was excitement because it had been years since the last theatrical Star Wars release. And then after that, it came out to an excitement. There was hope that Disney was probably going to take this in the right direction. And then we got to Last Jedi, and then Rise of Skywalker, and it just went downhill from there. There was a little bit of hope with Mandalorian, and then after season 2, it went downhill as well. Why? Because of Kathleen Kennedy, because she had an ideology that deviated from George's original vision, because she wanted to make the Force as female. Her and Disney wanted to kind of kill off anything that had anything to do with Lucas. And we ended up getting series and characters that nobody wanted, nobody cared about. You have people that are working on Star Wars that have absolutely no business being involved in Star Wars because they're trying to push their own stories and their own point of view and their own ideology and trying to push that through in Star Wars. So we had Celebration. This is the time of announcements. So what was announced at Star Wars Celebration? So we're going to go ahead. One of the things that we see is we're going to get a season 2 of Ahsoka. I tried watching season 1 of Ahsoka and I got bored with it. And I only really watched it just so I could kind of react to it. And it was just boring. They are doing their damnedest to make Ahsoka a character that should have been killed off during the Clone Wars, this all-important character in the Star Wars universe, like the end-all be-all. Especially where Ahsoka is now in the timeline, we still have Luke Skywalker, and we don't see anything of Luke Skywalker. Now, the character Luke Skywalker, we're going to talk about Mark Hamill. He can stay as far away from that as possible. Recast the character. there are people out there that look like look enough to where they can pass as Mark Hamill, because we just need focus on those original characters. You can recast these characters. It's not going to kill it. If you do it right, you're not going to kill the characters. If you can do it with Batman, if you can do it with Superman, if you can do it with James Bond, you can do it with Luke Skywalker. But we do know that a character from Ahsoka, who played Balin, who from what I saw, was pretty much the best part of that entire show. When Ray Stevenson died, so we've got Rory McCann, who has been recast as Balin Skrull. Again, you can recast these characters. There's proof right there. So we got that. We got Hayden Christensen's going to come back and return as Anakin Skywalker. I'm assuming that he's going to be a Force ghost. Again, why is he going around with Ahsoka when he's got his son over here he needs to be connecting with? But it's because Ahsoka is this all important character. This all important character. So we're going to skip all that. Rosario Dawson had no idea Mark Hamill was returning as Luke Skywalker in The Mandalorian until he walked on set. There's a reason why they keep things as a secret. And then we got everything revealed from the Mandalorian Grogu panel, which they did show a trailer to that, to where we're not probably going to see it for a while. It leaked like everything else leaked. And things are getting shut down left and right on that. But I'm sure it's out there if you want to see it. I'm not going to look for it because I have no idea. But pretty much this was what was announced for it. We'll go over this real quick. And by the way, this is from IGN. Yeah. But The Mandalorian Grogu is headed to theaters May 22nd, 2026. This will be the first Star Wars film to be released on the big screen since 2019's Rise of Skywalker. There's a reason for that. They turned Star Wars from theatrical to a television series, and that was not going over very well. It's also the first major panel that kicked off Star Wars Celebration. It includes teases for the film and, perhaps most surprisingly, the reveal of the Sean Levy-directed Star Wars Starfighter that will star Ryan Gosling. I have an opinion on that. When it is released in theaters on May 28th, 2027. The footage of The Mandalorian and Grogu was shown for those at the crowd, including some shots of an Imperial ship prepared to engage, Mando taking on flame troopers, AT-AT walkers collapsing in the snow, and our first look at Sigourney Weaver's character. And of course, Grogu being adorable and chaotic while swimming, making objects levitate, and more. I am so sick of Baby Yoda. I am so sick of Baby Yoda. And I'm sure a lot of people out there, not everybody, but there's a lot of people that are sick of Baby Yoda as well. You want to know how I know? The stacks upon stacks of Baby Yoda merchandise piling up. I mean, you can tell by when you go to an Ollie's and you can see the Star Wars stuff just piling up. And see, they talked to Sigourney Weaver, pass. All right, so the next thing was Star Wars Starfighter, a new film starring Ryan Gosling that's arriving in theaters May 27th. Star Wars Starfighter was announced at Celebration. It was confirmed that Ryan Gosling would star in this upcoming Star Wars film that takes place 5 years after the events of Rise of Skywalker. We didn't learn much about the film besides that Gosling will be playing a brand new character, but this film will join the likes of those by The Mandalorian. I'm sorry, let me reread that again. But this film will join the likes of those by The Mandalorian and Grogu movies from Ramin Abed-Chinoy, James Marigold, and Taika Waititi. and a trilogy from Simon Kinberg. Okay, first of all of that stuff, we don't know if any of that stuff's coming out. There's been no updates on the Charmin Abade Chinoy. That's supposed to be the Ray movie, which was announced by her, never been announced by Disney, just to get the people talking about it. James Mangold, don't know. Taika Waititi, sorry if I'm butchering that. Brain and mouth. Sorry, folks, brain and mouth. Last I heard that they got a new director, so there might be something going on in a new trilogy. Until we actually see something, none of that's going to happen. And I'm very hesitant about Starfighter because there was originally supposed to be a Star Wars Rogue Squadron game from Patty Jenkins. That disappeared. So this became, I'm assuming this is what became of Rogue Squadron. I would have rather see a Rogue Squadron than whatever this is. Because according to what Patty Jenkins said, she wanted it to... She was inspired by dogfighting movies, and it was going to be like dogfights in space. And then that would have been pretty cool because she would have had some kind of investment in that, and that would have had some kind of that might have had the possibility of being good. But Star Wars Starfighter with Ryan Gosling, Ryan Gosling's on a high right now, and I think they're trying to bet on that would be enough to get people in the theaters. I don't think it will, because Star Wars has just been shooting blanks for years. I don't think the Mandalorian and Grogu movie is going to get people into theaters like they think they're going to. And unless there's just something appealing to this, I don't think anybody's going to see Starfighter either. I really, really don't. But that's going to be a wait and see kind of thing. But as far as the plot and the timeline, let's see. It's all we know is it's set 5 years after the events of Rise of Skywalker, so it's going to be in that Disney Star Wars timeline. All right, so and then of course they're going to update the parks to where it's going to go around Mandalorian and Grogu. Big whoop. Epic Universe is going to eat their lunch. They announced a Star Wars Darth Maul Shadow Lord animated series in 2026. Okay, so it's going to follow Darth Maul after the events of the final seasons of the Clone Wars, where we'll see Maul plotting to rebuild his criminal syndicate on a planet untouched by the Empire. Man, they love... Darth Maul is the big thing right now. They love to do Darth Maul. They absolutely love to do Darth Maul. But we already know the end of his story. He dies on Tatooine fighting old Obi-Wan on Rebels. I mean, I really don't care. I don't care at all. Nobody cares about Clone Wars. They didn't care about the Bad Batch. I mean, it'll get a little bit of hype when it comes out, and then when they do seasons after that, nobody's going to really care. Star Wars Visions gets a Volume 3, and that'll debut, and a spin-off series that will debut with a 9th Jedi story. I haven't seen Visions. I heard it's pretty good because I think Disney does not have any input on this, or Lucasfilm doesn't have any input on this. They just let these anime directors go. And of course, if it's anime, they're going to have a stunning visual look to them. and they're going to have their own spin on what is Star Wars. But I've never actually seen any of them. But if you have seen them, hey, let me know in the comments what you think about that. Star Wars Outlaws gets a second story of Pirates' Fortune. Blah, blah, blah. Nobody cares. Star Wars Outlaws. I'm amazed they're putting Star Wars Outlaws on the Switch too. I am really amazed by that. But that'll be out September 4th. We've got Star Wars figure. The big thing was they're releasing a Dash Rendar on that, which it doesn't look bad. Looks like Kurt Russell. But will this be something that people will buy in droves? Possibly. But if you've noticed, they put a lot of emphasis. They put a lot of emphasis on the classic characters, except for some here and there. But here we've got why are we releasing a Book of Boba Fett figure? Don't know. Timothy Oliphant looks sickly. Man, he is just like real skinny. And that's his figure. And we got a Moff Gideon in battle armor. And is the helmet removable? Doesn't look like it. Doesn't look like it. So, available soon at your local Ollie's. And, yeah, and a Monopoly. So, as far as on the entertainment side, we got a Darth Maul animated series. Oh, yeah, and there's, they talked about Andor, which, April 22nd, which was today. Andor Season 2 came out. Again, I heard that was a good series. It was just boring, but it was good, but nobody talked about it. Again, a character we already know what happens to them. So there's no investment. Starfighter and Mandalorian and Grogu and Ahsoka Season 2. I'm already bored with this. I don't want to talk anymore about it. And I'm at the point now that I want to go ahead. I'm done with the stream. I had more investment talking about Oblivion than I did with Star Wars. That shows you how I feel about Star Wars. I just don't care about it. But I felt like, hey, let me look at some of the stuff that they announced, and I don't really care. I'm going to get everything I need out of this stuff. I'm going to get everything I'm going to get out of this stuff from TikTok clips and watching reviews from Nerdrotic, Desperoo, Geeks and Gamers. I'm going to get everything out. The Critical Drinker. I'm going to get everything I'm going to need out of all that. There's no reason for me to go and watch it. They're going to have their negative reviews about it. And then when they do, and that's what I love about these guys, when they tell you something's really good, I go in and I do. If I've got time, I will go in and look for it. So right now, Star Wars, to me, as I said before, it's in the rearview mirror. I do not care. I go down the collectibles. I just walk by. I may stop and look and like, okay, whatever. Just nothing jumps out at me anymore. Just nothing at all. All right. Well, I'm feeling a little. I think I need to go ahead and go. I'm starting to feel a little way to where I need to get something for my blood sugar. Getting something in my stomach. And maybe have to go use the bathroom again. But I think this stream, another successful stream. I think I did a little bit better this time in the beginning. I'm crashing out at the end, but it is what it is. But I want to thank everybody that stopped by. Even if you gave me 10 seconds of your time, I really want to thank each and every one of you for that. If you can, do me a favor. If you like what you saw, please hit that subscribe button. and like this stream. Help me with that algorithm. I would greatly appreciate it. Keep an eye on the socials. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. It's all Nash Thunderclap. I will announce the next time I'm going to be on. Don't have any kind of a set schedule as of yet. But it's a work in progress. It's a work in progress. And by the way, if you get a chance, check out my gameplay stuff. You can follow me on Kick. Subscribe to me on Twitch. And I've got my gameplay channel over on at Nash Thunderclap over on YouTube. I just got done with Mario Galaxy earlier tonight. I've been playing Binary Domain, which I'll probably finish up tomorrow night. And then we will go on from there. I will probably do a Let's Try on Elder Scrolls, probably this weekend. Keep an eye on the socials for that. All right, everybody. Well, thank you again. And I appreciate Stalking and getting into the chat and keeping it alive for me. So, until next time, everybody, have a good night, take it easy, and bye for now.